All right, y'all. Well, it is 10:03, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you've been attending our Wild Wednesdays for a while, you may recognize our host today, Nathaniel Norrie. He actually was our host at Lake Corpus Christi a few months back. He has since moved to Inks Lake State Park, so he is here to help us out again as we visit Inks Lake State Park. I am going to pass the baton. With that, we'll go ahead and get started. Nate, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. Glad everybody can make it today. So if you can see the video as well, I am having the presentation done on the lake itself from one of our paddle boats that we rent out. So we will get to do a little paddle boat tour for part of our presentation today. Is my screen sharing okay with everybody? Thomas?
Yep, looks good, Nate.
All right. So as Thomas said, we've been doing these Wild Wednesday virtual tours, and today we will be doing Inks Lake State Park for everyone. So part of our agenda today will include a park introduction, some of the amenities we have, history of Inks Lake, the landscape of our park, visitation and the economic factors it provides, and some future expansion plans that are pretty awesome and we're really excited about. Here we have two wonderful pictures, and I can't argue with that sentiment of the best drive to work. It is wonderful to be out here, and we drive down Park Road 4, which is in the National Register of Historic Places. It was a road completely built by the CCC when they were excavating Longhorn Caverns, and the road you see is still the current road that was built in. It's just underneath the new aged asphalt. And one of the things that you can see on this beautiful historic road and drive are beautiful scenic wildflowers during certain parts of the year. Obviously, this is just a massive field of bluebonnets, but we have a variety of different flowers and Indian paintbrushes and blankets and all kinds of things. So you get all those pinks and blues mixed in, which is just a phenomenal drive. So a little bit about Inks Lake State Park. We're a place that offers both fun for the family on the water and land. We have beautiful clear water, awesome rock outcroppings for hiking, and beautiful sunsets and sunrises for those early birds. And we're just an hour outside of Austin. So it's a very popular park for a lot of people around the Austin area. It's one of our highest visiting cities. So the campsites that we provide is very large. We have 129 water and electric sites. Those range with different amenities for if you have a site on the water. The sites are different lengths, and we have quite a bit all spread throughout the park. Four of those, though, are for tent onlys. They're set up in a certain way that it has more of a general parking lot for tent campers that want to have some electricity at their tent. Those are $23 a night, and then you have your $7 a day entry fee per person per day. We also have 49 water-only campsites. Those are for tent campers. They are $16 a night. We also have 9 primitive campsites where those are a general parking lot. You park your vehicle in that spot, and then you hike into your campsite. So that's the people that really want to kind of get out in the woods and away from everybody and enjoy the sounds of nature and tent camp or have a hammock up and just be out there and about. And they're only $11 a night. We also have 22 cabins. These are just a single room cabin. It has 2 bunk beds, so 4 single beds in it, and a table. Restrooms are close by. They are AC and heated, and they are $61.05 a night as well. One future sites we have coming up are tenter sites. That's tenter as in tent, RR. You could look them up online. This is going to be something new for us, and we're excited to work with them as a lease concession and We will be having 4 to 5 sites renovated by them and run by them. So that should be fairly close in the near future for those to be up. And if you are interested to see what those sites look like, you can always check their website. We currently, and I say currently, have 10.5 miles of hiking trails. We have a very beautiful wildlife viewing station area, which was helped being built by our friends group, Foil. They did a lot of work in getting that to fruition, and it's a beautiful place to go see wildlife and birds. There's a water feature, there's seed out there, suet, so it's a really nice place. We are one of the leading park stores in the Texas State Park system. As I mentioned before on the previous slide, we do have a registered historic place with Park Road 4. And we are also part of the Llano Uplift, which is an ancient geological wonder. And we'll talk more about that here down the way. A few other things I'd like to mention that our park provides is we have a youth camp group area. So a lot of Boy Scouts rent that out, and it is specified for a youth camp group. So it's a large area away from all the other sites that can accommodate a lot of tents. It has its own composter out there and big fire pit. So it's a very popular spot for Boy Scout troops, Girl Scout troops, and any youth organization that wants to come out and have like their area to do any type of jamboree or event. Next slide. We'll start talking a little bit about the history of Inks Lake and a little of what I like to call the almost what could have been. And a pretty cool picture there on this slide that is LBJ at a flag raising ceremony with the CCC men in 1939. So at that time, he wasn't president, but he was a congressman in the U.S. House of Representatives at that time. So the CCC started here with company 854, and they started their work in 1934 and continued work in this area till 1942. They started at Longhorn Cavern State Park, which is a sister park of ours that we help run. And they had this enormous task of removing and clearing out that caverns. They moved out 2.5 tons of silt and debris and back guano, and very hard, very stringent manual labor that was not probably very fun in this Texas heat. Though the nice thing about that cave, it stays at 68 degrees down there. And a lot of what they pulled out of the cave, the silt and the debris, that became a lot of the road base that built Park Road 4, which leads us to the next part is they are the ones that started building Park Road 4 and constructed the entirety of it. Now, once they got done with Longhorn Caverns and clearing out the cave itself and building the administrative building and other buildings up there for the residents, the plan was to head to Inks Lake. So that's what they did. When they got here, they were able to construct a small boathouse, a small road system, and about a dozen or so culverts within the park itself here at Inks. But unfortunately, we all know World War II came about, and all these young men were pulled away from their jobs as CCC members and went off to the war. And when they came back, it just wasn't in the books to have them back over here. So Inks Lake as a true CCC full-fledged park never truly happened. But we found some really cool plans and conceptual drawings that I'd like to share with y'all today. That were what they were looking at for Inks Lake. So here is a drawing of a boathouse. As you can see from the top, it was on the lake's edge overlooking the lake. It would have been built slightly over with the back porch kind of over the water, and then you'd have a crescent moon boat docks or small marina for people visiting Inks Lake. This drawing is one of a proposed concessions building. As you can see, this park always had the idea of having a large park store to accommodate and have the needs of our visitors right at hand for them. And second is a number 2 for a different proposed concessions building. This one I really like the design of. You have the rounded terrace overlooking the water. I find it interesting that they labeled it, and they had a lot of really cool plans. One half was a sodded side of the terrace for lounging and recreation. The left side was a concreted terrace for dances at night. But a few interesting items that we have seen here at Inks Lake once it was open to the public throughout the years that we have come across is this circular lounge dock. Very interesting design, very cool concept. We've joked that it'd be pretty interesting to have something like that back out here again. We don't have the exact years that it was here, but from what we can find out, it was most likely here between 1951 to about 1954, 1955. Another very interesting time period at Inks, they had what they called armchair angling. It was a air conditioning floating fishing barge. So obviously fishing and getting in the water has been a huge draw for everybody coming to Inks Lake. And it's very interesting that they had an air conditioned barge to fish out of. And if you can see above the picture captioned on the lower left, it says, "Weather may be bad outside, but fishing's fine on the inside." Sounds very 50-ish slang slogan going on there to draw people out into the nice AC and catch yourself a string of fish like that lady did. So we'll move on to what we have now and what you'll see when you get here with the landscape of Inks Lake with the geology, the flora, and the fauna. So what we have that is a big attraction for geologists and as some people might say, rock hounds, is the gneiss here. And that's spelled Gneiss, pronounced nice. It is very old rock. We are, as I said before, on the edge of the Llano Uplift, which is the geologic heart of Texas. And this rock is part of the pre-Cambrian era, which is more than 6 million years old. That was something I did not know before I came here, and I got to sit on a pretty interesting presentation by a geologist about the gneiss and the granite and the difference. Very eye-opening and very cool. Our interpreter, Jamie, I believe has that. And so if you're ever out here and want to know more about that, she is full of knowledge on the difference between granite, gneiss, and the rocks out here. And as you can see to the right, this is a map of where we would be at here at Inks Lake in Texas, and that pink and red is the Llano Uplift, and we are on the eastern edge. And this graph was pulled from Field Methods of Inks Lake State Park by Dr. Paul Mann from the University of Houston. And like I said, these are the oldest rocks in the state and some of the oldest in the country. So talking more about our landscape, the Llano Uplift gives us a vastly unique landscape and topography with all the jutting rocks, which contributes to the factors of our ecosystem. So we have a lot to see here with our fauna. So we have lots of mammals I've listed here, fish, insects, birds, reptiles, and a lot of these you'll see throughout the year. Some of these you'll see as they migrate through. And for everybody watching, we here at our park, you end up getting to see a lot of the state symbols. So if anybody can point out a few on your own, I'll mark them here in a second of some of our state symbols we have here. And so we have our state small mammal, which is the 9-banded armadillo. We have our state flying mammal, which is a Mexican free-tailed bat. Our state insect, the monarch butterfly. Our state bird, the mockingbird. And our state reptile, which is the Texas horned lizard. And the little turtle there is a cooter turtle that was actually found crawling through the grass right behind our park store, and that is a park employee scooping him up and putting him back in the water for safety. So we also have a lot of flora here within the park, and it's vastly unique. And we have a big variety of trees, shrubs, a lot of succulents out here. I was actually surprised myself on how many different varieties of trees we had out here. We have, as listed, live oak, post oak. We have actually white oak as well, Texas persimmons, beautiful shrubs like the cenizo, or as I grew up known as a Texas sage, or some people like to call it the barometer bush. Very beautiful plant. And then we also have beautiful flowers like we talked about for the scenic drives that bloom during the spring and just come out and just cover the fields, and it's just a beautiful picturesque scene that you'll get. And again, with the state symbols, we have 2 listed on here if anybody could pick them out, and we will find out. There we go. We got the state flower, the Texas bluebonnet, and the state succulent, the Texas prickly pear. So you can see a lot of our state symbols here while you're visiting the park. So the next slide, we'll talk about visitation and economic factors that Inks Lake provides to the community. So Inks Lake, we are in Region 3, which is a region broken down within our state park system. Over to the left, you can see the top 20 cities that visit us here at Inks. Austin, San Antonio, and then you have Liberty Hill, Cedar Park, areas around Austin. You have Houston, Round Rock, another area around Austin. And Austin is quite far and above San Antonio in percentage of visitors that come from the different cities and towns and rural areas out to Inks. So those 20 cities plus a lot others and international visitors all come to Inks. And here you can see I have the numbers for our fiscal year 22 and our fiscal year 21. This only ran to July, not August, from when I was making the presentation. But you can see we here at Inks Lake had a small increase in visitation between 22 and 21. And every park saw a different thing. Some saw increases, some saw decreases. But overall, for a region, we saw a slight decrease. And that could be a number of factors, but obviously a factor that we've been dealing with everybody here has been COVID. And part of, I think, our decreased numbers a lot of places are seeing are due to the loosening of COVID restrictions, which has redistributed the massive crowds that we at state parks had seen over the past 2 years during the height of COVID, when other leisurely activities were unavailable to them. So a lot of people are now able to go out to the movies and other things and feel more safe and secure. So that's happening. But we did bring in a lot of new visitors during that time frame, and they are now becoming regular visitors of ours. So we touched a whole different base of customers that found state parks for the first time during that time frame, and we continue to serve them and look forward to them to be ambassadors and stewards of parks in the future. So here we have also, I thought this was an impressive number. Within Region 3, our 5-year visitation in the upper left corner, we have served over 12 million constituents here in Region 3 at all the parks within that region. That is a impressive and phenomenal number, and we believe that most of those 12 million have had excellent times. Obviously, you're going to have times where weather isn't permitted and it's not the outing you had hoped for, but we still get lots of people returning and lots of happy customers. And we provide a beautiful place for them to come out for weekends and holidays and family vacations. Out of that 12 million, Inks Lake has roughly accommodated over 1 million during that 5 years. So on average, we see about 200,000 visitors a year. So this is a high visited park. We get a lot of people to come out here just for camping and hiking. And obviously we get a ton of people to come out for water recreation, boating, fishing, and everything of that manner, to be out on the water and cool off from the Texas heat. As stated before, we have a very large park store here. We are one of 2 state parks that actually has a full-fledged general store, a park store. Us and Tyler State Park is the other one. Inks Lake, we are one of the leading concessionaires within the state park system, with sales and rentals of equipment. And we have an outstanding staff in our store that provides excellent customer service. They are top notch in there. So some of the things that we've seen this year compared to last year, just in the state park store, not including reservations or state park passes or anything like that. The state park store here at Inks Lake has generated point of sales over $400,000, which is a pretty good increase from the previous year, which was just under 400. And they provide a lot of souvenirs, but a lot of gear that people happen to forget at home, such as coffee makers for over the campfire, or pots or pans, or s'mores to make a s'more. Because I mean, who doesn't want to have a s'more over the campfire when you're out camping? We also provide a lot of rentals here for people to enjoy the lake, like I'm doing right now on the paddle boat. The sales for rentals this year exceeded $80,000, which just blew last year's numbers out of the water. But some of those numbers were a little low due to some circumstances that kept rentals from happening for time periods. But we provide rentals for paddle boats like I'm on right now. We provide canoes, kayaks, and double kayaks. And here, probably within the next 2 weeks to month, we will actually have paddle boards in our system of rentals as well. We have noticed that paddle boards have become a very popular water recreation, and I pretty much think I see more paddle boards out on the water during the weekends in our cove that I'm in right now, enjoying the water as much as I do kayaks nowadays. So what does this all mean for the local community with our sales and the visitors we bring into the park? So what that does is it really impacts the local community and provides them with benefits. So these numbers that you're seeing came from a 2018-2019 study. And these are the numbers that at the time were the impact generated to the local community, where we saw 141,000 sales tax generated for the local community. Since then, with our increased visitation since that study and our park store revenue and rentals, we're looking more at a sales tax generated this year of just about 150,000 to the local community. So that's a really big number. It brings a lot of people in, non-local visitors, to towns like Kingsland and Marble Falls and Burnett and all those places that generates business for them, but also our sales tax collection helps generate that money. Now, I don't have the numbers to provide specifics on the dollar amounts and jobs by the statistical analysis, but we can surmise that due to the increase for sales tax and due to the increase for visitation, those numbers have either stayed the same or have increased as well as a benefit to the local communities. So a very exciting part of the presentation that we're going to talk about is some of the future plans of Inks Lake State Park and a look ahead. So two of the main things we're going to talk about on the expanding future of Inks Lake is we are having a new park headquarters being built. And actually that has started. They have broke ground and are laying the foundation for that. But we will have a brand new park entrance off Park Road 4 into the headquarters. We'll have a new self-pay kiosk. We'll have a dedicated day use lane versus a dedicated overnight check-in area, which has much larger parking. So it'll keep the flow of traffic a lot better, a lot smoother, so people can get in and out of the headquarters itself faster and enjoy more time within the park and not sitting in a long line. A big bonus for a lot of our campers will be we're getting a 4-lane dump station added in. Currently, we have a 2-lane dump station, and on Sundays when most people are leaving the park, we end up having a line, and we actually have to get hosts and employees to help direct traffic to get that line planned out right and all scattered, so that way we're not blocking lanes and traffic, and other people that are just trying to travel through the park aren't getting stuck behind a mess of RVs trying to just get to the dump station. So it's a task on its own. So having this new 4-lane dump station will be beautiful for our park. The second part we'll talk about is a public use plan that we're working on, which will be a new day use area, which is going to take over the section of land that we own that used to have an old golf course on it. And that will provide a big bonus to our park due to the fact that we are a very high visitation park. Most of our visitors come for camping overnight. And a lot do like to come for day use, but we have very minimal day use parking. So our day use parking becomes very tight, very quick, and it doesn't allow for the amount of people that want to get in to be able to get in. So that's one of the big bonuses of this new area away from our main entrance that will be just a dedicated day use area. And it will have a boat ramp itself there with a kayak launch for visitors coming in, a playground, a nice, beautiful, big recreation hall, pavilions, and added trails. So here is a site layout for the park headquarters that I was just discussing. As you can see on the right side, you have the entrance, the flow in, and then you have a Y split for the day use and the overnight visitors. So we'll have all that. And then to the far left, we have that new 4-lane dump station for visitors to be able to dump their RVs once they leave the park. Here is a conceptual drawing of what the headquarters will look like, and that will be on the day use side of the entrance. So we'll have a covered awning for those pulling up as that car is, to a window unit from the building, and then to the right, that is actually an additional fee booth for a second car to be checked in on the right side. Here is some plans and some conceptual ideas for our public use plan. So on the upper side, you can see the area that will be used right off Park Road 4. We'll have 2 separate entrances. One will be for anybody that rented the recreational hall and terrace. The second will be the main day use entrance with the fee booth station. Lots of nice big extra parking for all the boats and trailers that come in, with trucks and trailers that have boats on them to come in and park without having to try to park on the side of the grass or anything of that nature. We will have 35 new picnic sites, a nice big playground, a comfort station, basically a restroom, a very big restroom. We will have 1 full mile of solid ADA accessible trails, which is going to be very useful, very helpful, and very awesome for anybody needing an actual ADA trail, because out here at our park, that's very hard to accomplish with all the rock outcroppings and follow within the ADA guidelines. So being able to actually get this installed and done will be monumental for here. We also will have an extra 1.5 miles of hiking and biking. And basically you have the park, a split area of trails that heads to our wildlife viewing blind. And then it kind of dead ends there. The new 1.5 miles will connect the day use, which would be to the left of the bird blind, to it. And so now you would be able to, if you wanted to, go from the state park, your campgrounds, to the bird viewing blind, all the way over to the day use and back if you liked. So we're really excited about that. And the picture on the bottom is a drawing of the rec hall for Cedar Hill State Park. And that's kind of what ours is going to be based or designed off of. That isn't the final plans, but that is what we liked and are looking to achieve with our rec hall, something of that nature. So I appreciate y'all's time, and I hope y'all enjoyed y'all's virtual tour and knowledge of Inks Lake State Park. I have added some QR codes at the top. If you have your cameras out, you can click on each of those and you can either get the State Park phone app installed or download the State Park Annual, or even takes you to the website for Inks Lake State Park if you want to look at our fees, amenities, any programs coming up with our interpreter, Jamie. And then I also have my state cell number and email if anybody's interested and has any questions for me in the future. Thank you, everyone.
Good job, Nate. All right, so let's see. We did get one question. How much are boat rentals and how many boats do you have?
Okay, so that varies. So we have, off the top of my head, I want to say about 20 single kayaks. And we are actually right now changing our fee program. So the new fee program for canoes, kayaks, double kayaks, and the paddle boards, they will be $20 for the first hour and $10 each additional hour after that for rentals. And as I stated, we have roughly about 20 single kayaks. We have probably about, I want to say 12 to 13 double kayaks, about 20 canoes. We just got the new paddle boards in. We have 12 of those. We need to get those put in the system so they can be started to rent. That should, like I said, happen about 2 weeks. And the only difference is the paddle boats like I'm on right now, those are 15 instead of 20 for the first hour, and then 10 for each additional hour. And we have those at a lower rate because they are more confined to a small cove area for use, because they're not really made to go out like the rest. So we left those at 15 because they're kind of combined to this one cove area, which is plenty area to paddle around in. And usually most people do about just an hour with the paddle boats. But then with the canoes, kayaks, double kayaks, and paddle boards, you can take those anywhere within the lake, paddling into any cove. A lot of people like to take them down to Devil's Water Hole and things of that nature.
Great, thanks, Nate. So let's see. I think that was all of our questions. Thank you, Cynthia, Tina. Y'all are our sole viewers for today. Nate, were you gonna? Was there anything else that you needed to show us or do, or was that? It?
I was gonna try to get my phone to log in with the meeting as well and do kind of a virtual paddle around, but is my screen for my laptop pretty clear to y'all, and can you see a decent amount of the lake?
Yeah, we can see it pretty good. It looks fine.
Okay. I just kind of keep it from here then. So we'll kind of I'll do a pan around. So I'm basically in the middle of our cove that heads to Devils, and basically right down that way. And if you can see that kayaker off in the distance, that would be the way you would head to Devil's Waterhole. And we have a lot of individuals that love to come out, hike the trail that goes down to Devil's. And it's a famous cliff that a lot of people love to jump off of into the deep waters. We always caution everybody to use your best judgment and know your abilities before you go out and attempt that. But it's actually a very beautiful, slightly overcast day. It's kind of humid out today, but beautiful day to be out in the water. As you can see, as I'm panning, we are seeing the edge of a lot of our campsites for the RV campers. And then straight ahead again, if it's visible, that is our North Fishing Pier. We get a lot of fishermen and fisherwomen out here that come out and enjoy a day out on the lake with some solitude or with some family or some friends, and just enjoy the water and the camaraderie out here. And then past that, with the silver building, is our park store. And ahead is the mouth of this cove that goes out into the main body of Inks Lake. So that's about all I had today. Anything else, Thomas, or any other questions that popped up?
No other questions yet. I think that'll about do it, Nate. Really cool seeing having you out there on the water, getting to see that. It's a beautiful background that it's the kind of background that people put virtually on their screens, and you get to do it for real. So
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
cool.
exactly. It's quite the scene.
Awesome. Well, and shared. Like Nate said, if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with either him or me. We're happy to get those questions answered for you. Otherwise, I think we'll wrap up today's session.